Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Lunch Bunch of 2024. I think I know pretty much everybody on this call with exception of a few, but for those who don't know me, I'm Ruth Jones with the Office of Alumni Engagement here at Mines, and I'm delighted to see so many of your faces today. This is great. If this is your first Lunch Bunch, of course, welcome. We're glad to have you. And for those of you who are regular attendees, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. We couldn't do it without you. We always enjoy seeing familiar faces on the screen each month. We're glad to have you with us today as we continue our monthly look at the people and the programs that make Mines great. Today, we're pleased to welcome back to Lunch Bunch Dr. Sam Spiegel, Assistant Vice President of Online Education here at Mines. Dr. Spiegel, as some of you may remember, spoke to Lunch Bunch in January of 2023 and now returns a year later to give us an update on the significant insights and development and the impact that Mines Online is having on the Mines community and certainly beyond. So this will be great. A few quick reminders before we start. As always, if you guys think of a question or a comment during the program, Dr. Spiegel is certainly willing to answer those as we go, but you can always put them in the chat or just raise your hand and we'll call on you. So keep that rolling. And also a reminder that all of our programs each month are recorded. And you can access all of the recordings on the alumni website page, our Lunch Bunch page at weare.mines.edu, which is where you all went to RSVP for today's program. So if you missed one, you want to listen again, or you want to share with a friend, forward it to a friend, visit that page and you can see the complete archive of all of our programs going back to 2021 when we started doing Lunch Bunch virtually, which has been awesome. So we've built up quite a library. As always, if you've got ideas for speakers, I know several of you have said, hey, Ruth, let's do this. What about this? If you've got somebody that you want to hear from or a program that you want to learn more about, we would like to make that happen for you. So please let me know. Shoot me an email or send me a note in the chat today. Okay, enough from me. Let's get started. Without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Sam Spiegel to our January 2024 Lunch Bunch. Take it away, Sam.
Thank you, Ruth. And thanks, everyone, for joining us during your lunchtime. At one point, I was going to do a whole bunch of interactive things, but decided to spare you having to log in and get too involved up front. But hopefully, we'll get you involved on the back end. As Ruth said, my name's Sam Spiegel. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Online Education. And Ruth asked me to take a few moments to introduce myself in a little more detail for those who don't know me. So I've been at the Colorado School of Mines since 2015. Joined Mines to create its first teaching and learning center, the Trefny Innovative Instruction Center. And since then, I've shifted to focus more exclusively on online teaching and learning. I'm married, have two daughters, enjoy the outdoors and painting. And the more formal biography is, again, I'm at Mines. I'm an adjunct at the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. Previously, I was at the University of Pittsburgh, Biological Sciences Curriculum Study, i4Learning, the National High Magnetic Field Lab, Florida State University, and several K-12 school systems. All that to say, I've been involved in education a long time. And my background is education. My PhD is specifically in science education and curriculum design. And so me and my team, and I have a team of nine right now, in addition to myself, which includes online learning experience designers, an online program manager, copyright and multimedia support, as well as Duago, who I see logged on, who's helping more on the continuing ed side and industry relations. And as Ruth said, if at any point you have questions, feel free to either interrupt me, raise your hand, put it in chat. So after talking to Lunch Punch last year and in listening to alumni, faculty, and staff, the three questions I typically get is, well, why are we doing online at Minds? What is Minds Online, or what is online like at Minds? And where are we headed? So pretty straightforward. I thought I'd try to tackle these in a little different approach today. So for why online, I think we need to think about what's been changing over time. And so I'm going to give you a quick case study of three students from Minds, one from 1964, one at 2004, and then 2022, 2023 range. So in 1964, tuition was about $500 a year. So something you could possibly pay out of your bank account. If you inflate it to 2022 levels, it's about $5,000 a year. Most students were taking 20 to 22 credit hours a semester, and the curricula was very hands-on and computational. So lots of math. Some of the older alumni often comment to me about how sore their fingers were from the slide rules and doing all the calculations. But in addition to what was happening at Minds, recall in 1964, we had the Civil Rights Act going on. The Beatles just hit Ed Sullivan, which was controversy. TVs were making their ways into most homes. BASIC as a programming language was just developed, and the plans for the World Trade Center were being unveiled as we were also racing into space. So now let's jump ahead a bit to 2004. Now tuition's about $6,000 a year. So again, inflated rates 9,600, average course load around 18 credit hours, and Minds started exploring expanding its curriculum, going into new areas, new niche fields, and new areas that industry was identifying. Around that time, iPods just came out. For baseball folks, the Red Sox won. Near miracle. Skype had just come out, as well as the Facebook before it became Facebook alone. So we were seeing some really big changes and trends happening. As we jump closer to today, now tuitions, and this is just tuition, not housing, books, other things, is around 17,600. Most undergrads take 18 to 21 credit hours. The curricula is becoming more engaging, more intentional, and there's now online and hybrid options. And we're starting to see more and more students requesting or looking for online, partially because of the flexibility it gives them in terms of timing, but also it's a format many younger students are just familiar with. So if we jump to 2023, I thought it'd be worth sharing just some national statistics to give you a sense of what's happening with online in general. 63% of US students engage in online learning daily. Many of you likely do it daily. You may not tag it as learning. So how often are you Googling something to say, how do I do that? The other day I had to reset my stove again, and for the life of me, I couldn't remember how. So I had to look it up. 70% of students nationally prefer online learning over in person. 90% of businesses now offer online learning for continuing education. We're seeing a 60% increase in student and employee retention due to online learning. So online helps retain your employees. It helps students stay engaged. There's also interesting new data that shows a 25% improvement in employee performance, which is attributed to online learning. So not only does it have the learning impact, we also see it in industry as well. So that's a little bit of why. The why, again, things are changing. Students expect things differently. Their needs are very different. The needs of industry are different, and the needs of higher education are different. The 1964 student, most of the curriculum was giving them information because that's what they lacked. In 2017, we were now shifting, instead of delivering information, we were working to help people be good consumers of information because the information was so readily available. Now today, with AI and other things emerging, it's going beyond being a good consumer, and you need to be able to understand how to organize, analyze the data, how to use new skills, and how to tackle problems we haven't thought about yet. So what is Minds Online, though? What's our big picture? Minds Online, my team provides the education and support for faculty so they can build rich learning experiences. The learning experiences or courses or modules are engaging, cutting-edge courses focused on solving current problems or future problems. And they really are engaging. Most people are surprised to figure out that online learning can be hands-on as well. Not all online learning is sitting at the computer. For example, those of you who are electrical engineers using an Arduino, I don't need to be on campus to use an Arduino or to run a program or to do pieces. The predominance of our courses are built and taught by Minds faculty. They're of the same caliber as our in-person courses. Of course, some data is suggesting might even be a little better in terms of retention and performance. We're focusing on graduate professional master's programs for the online degrees. We do have online courses at the undergraduate level, but we're not targeting any degree programs online undergraduate level. And we're working to expand our professional education or continuing education offerings online. Probably the most distinctive piece about Minds Online is our curricula design. When most people think of a course, they think about it as a sequence of activities or a sequence of lectures. Often they're developed as they're going along or just organizing topics. We teach faculty to use a very intentional process so that rather than focusing on delivering content or covering content, they focus on the learning. How do I get students to actually learn what I intend them to learn, those skills and knowledge? When you think of most other places, they interpret that as videos and assessments. So you'll watch a video overview, you'll do a short assessment, you'll watch more video content, do a short assessment, video, and an assessment. Those are designed to deliver content and to check to see, did you make sense of the content? It's really focused on presenting, and programs that do that, not surprisingly, most of the feedback on those programs are about the presentations. So you'll see comments about how great the videos were, how clear they were, how entertaining, but not much about learning. Here at Minds, we do an intentional learning sequence where first we have students connect. We have them connect with the content, with the instructor. The student-instructor interactions at Minds are really critical to our programming, and we connect students to each other. We've actually had students now form new companies and new initiatives through the interactions in their classes. We then move students into an iterative phase where they're acquiring knowledge and skills, they're practicing those skills, they're getting feedback, and continuing to refine until they're ready for a summative assessment to demonstrate they learned what they intended in the course. When we put all the pieces together, this is closer to what a Minds course looks like than a linear piece. Those of you who've been around a while know there's some self-teaching that has to happen. Not everything happens in the class. There's study groups, you connect it to other classes, you reach into tutorials, there's ways to go deeper if you want to. All that said, we work with instructors to make sure the student is supported across the entire pathway so that it really is a good learning experience for them. In terms of programming, we've been expanding what's available online. You can see the number of master's degrees. Those of you who were in the session last year have expanded, and we're continuing to grow into new areas. As I said, Minds Online students perform as well as or better than our residential students. We can do direct comparisons when we have the same class being offered residentially and in person, or we can look at general trends across graduate programs. And again, we're not seeing any detriment to online. The online portfolio includes degree programs, so graduate certificate degrees, master's non-thesis degrees or professional masters, and our space resources program, the PhD, is actually fully online. In addition, as I said, we have a number of undergraduate courses being offered, and then the continuing and professional education is our next area for big growth. In terms of growth, Minds is a small to mid-sized university. We're seeing very steady growth across each semester. I just pulled spring data since we're in the spring now. Unfortunately, I don't have the 2024 data available until the end of the semester, but we're seeing somewhere between a 20 to 40% growth in students each semester. The student feedback is all very positive. They enjoy the classes. Many of them note that the class was better than they thought they would be. Typically, the thing that throws most students off is the same thing that throws most students off in the in-person classes. Those who don't really know Minds well, the first week of class sometimes is a little more intense than they anticipated it was going to be. Even though we tell them up front, it's going to require time and effort. For some, it catches them off guard, but usually we can help support them to get them where they're able to manage their time and get the work done. As I said, continuing and professional ed is our next big expansion area. We're focusing initially on 3 target areas: energy, executive training, and digitization. We're also looking at hot topics of interest, understanding big issues, developing new competencies. So where we're headed is to expand offerings and resources for students. That includes new professional masters, the new professional education opportunities, and then we're working to create bridges so that you can apply some of the continuing ed work towards degree programs. We're also integrating more advanced technology. Of late, it's changing almost daily, and it's changing at very disruptive rates between AI and some other pieces. And so we're figuring out, how do we best use AI? How do we use some of the new hologram or VR technology? What makes sense to use from an instructional standpoint? And what are the things we should be teaching students? In the last 6 months, several new careers have opened up, including one that's called prompt engineering. And prompt engineering is the people who learn how to write rich prompts for AI to learn. So the machine learning aspects. How do we educate our students so they could be a prompt engineer? We also need to work to adjust more quickly to the changing needs and expectations, the changing needs in industry as well as the students, because they're advancing much faster than they had in the past. And so having more agile processes will be helpful. And the big question we keep asking is, what future are our students heading for? What do we need to consider to meet their future needs for the students, industry, the community? How do we keep on the frontier and keep them moving forward? And so there's a couple ways you can become involved. The Alumni Knowledge Archive is an opportunity to either come onto campus or we can do it remotely, where we use an interview process to gather some of the hot topics you're an expert in. And then we share that with faculty so they can integrate it into classes where it makes sense. The other area is we're starting, as I said, to expand our professional education efforts, and we're looking for subject matter experts who can help provide the content for us to build courses. And Duogo is the contact for that. And Ruth is going to be sharing the PowerPoint slides, and there's a link also to an application form. So with that, I'll stop talking at you and see what questions you have or what you'd like to learn more about. And I'll stop sharing so I can see everyone. I didn't scare you into silence, did I?
I have a
Sam,
question.
thank you.
Oh.
Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Dominic.
Thank you, Sam, for sharing. It's really good and interesting to hear what y'all developing or have developed for the online education program. How does it compare with what our our closest competitors or peers in higher education are doing from an online perspective?
Good question. It's as you can imagine, a bit more complex than most would expect. But most of our competitors are trying to expand online, particularly in the engineering and STEM fields. It's a hot area. And universities are tending to head towards one of two big directions. So some went down the MOOC path. These are where you create a course that you open up to like 40,000 students. And then across the course, the number of students whittles down to those who are actually going to pay and might use it towards a degree program. And the whittling down is pretty extensive. That model doesn't work for us. Mine has 6,000 students. Having 40,000 students in one class would kill us. Instead, we focus, like some of the other universities, on really targeted programs that are meeting the needs out there. And we're focusing on making sure that the experience is worth the time and the money investment. And that's where we're seeing some of the others. Interestingly, CU Boulder gets thrown out a lot as, well, what are they doing? Why aren't we like them? They have a huge number of students growing into their online program. They're still losing money. Our numbers are smaller, but we're in the black. So I can at least report that positively. And what we hear from our students is very different. I mean, our students get excited. I won't share the name of the company, but one company we were talking with, it has two co-CEOs. One graduated from Mines, one graduated from MIT. And they were looking for some professional education opportunities for their employees. Not surprisingly, the MIT person thought they should go to MIT, and the Mines person said, well, let's see what Mines can do. We brought in about 10 of their employees to a course, and now they're adamant they will always use Mines and not MIT. And I wish I could get them on video saying that, because it's one thing for me to share it. It's another when you hear them say it. Did that get at it, Dominic?
Yes, thank you.
Hey, Sam, I'll go ahead and chime in here. My name's Kyle. I work in the Minds Foundation with a lot of the folks here on the call. I work specifically with Dwigu and the corporate and foundation relations here at the foundation, and you kind of just touched on it. And we'll continue to work with Dwigu. But what is the differentiator? How would you approach companies? What companies might be interested? I guess what would you put in like a sales pitch or an elevator pitch as to why companies should at the very least want to learn a little bit more?
Good and interesting question. So I think there's what is it we can offer immediately or currently, and then what is it we're working towards that we'll be able to offer down the road. Right now, on the continuing ed side, it's predominantly in person or live. And that's either driven by faculty or in some cases industry. So if industry is looking for customized work, we can work with them on that. Beyond that, the piece we can do is we can really get their employees advancing in what they need to do. We make sure that our learning and our courses are highly efficient. So it won't be a shock to anybody on this call. It's just we have to get better at communicating this to others. You finish a Minds class, what you leave with is so different from what you would finish the same course anywhere else. If nothing else, the students come in at a higher level, but even if we go to the undergraduate level, our Physics 1 is not Physics 1 anywhere else. Ours is heavily calc-based. It's very computational and digging into it. Others are more at a conceptual level where you get the gist, but don't really get into the nuances. So I think it's really, we're going to cost a little more, but you're going to get more out of it.
And I guess to piggyback off of that, are there specific industries you think that would be more inclined than others? And again, we could probably offline, or I could work with Dwigu, but just from a corporate and foundation perspective here, trying to figure out what industries might be our best targets, if you will.
Yeah, so I think our primary ones right now would be where we have the content. So not surprisingly, where we have our niche areas, mining, data science, space resources. So aerospace industry, we now have a lot, we're growing in there. Additive and advanced manufacturing, we have quite a bit to offer. We're just finishing a National Science Foundation grant with that, and we'll be rolling out some additional online resources there. Your basic production companies. I'd say if you look at who's showing up at Career Fair, that's who we're targeting. And Dwigu can work with you on refining that. Did I miss any, Dwigu?
I was putting it in the chat box. We can also mention energy, Kyle.
Energy, yes. Carbon capture, utilization, energy futures. Thank you. Energy transformations. One of our new programs that we're hoping will launch in August is a new program in electrical engineering that focuses on energy and power systems and radio antenna.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I may have missed this, but do you have plans to extend this to short courses? Because short courses for Minds have been extremely popular and very well attended, very profitable for Minds, and well regarded in industry. And from what I saw, most of your things you're talking about, degree or certificate programs. But I'm just curious if short courses could play a role in this at some point.
Oh, absolutely. And when I'm using the term professional ed to mean the short courses, modules. The professional ed might be a 10-minute activity that's self-paced. It might be a 20-hour facilitated course. over a couple of weeks. So yeah, that's going to be a huge area for us right now, and that's the area that Duogu is targeting.
And a follow-up to that, do you have the ability to offer hybrid short courses at the moment?
Absolutely. In fact, we are, and like everybody else during COVID, we had a number of our programs shift over. So the Petroleum Super School, that's typically a 2-week live experience, we now have an online version of that. And last year, I believe they ran a hybrid version where some of it was in person and the rest online.
Sam, I have a question about the undergraduate module of this. Earlier in your presentation, you had a slide that showed all of the various undergraduate courses that are offered. I'm just curious, what, as an undergrad, could I sign up for some classes that would be in person and some that would be online? Like, do students do both, or do they tend to do one or the other?
Students can do both. More of the undergraduate courses that are online are intended to be offered in the summer, so that a student could either go home or do an internship and still take a class.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
During the academic year, our graduate programs run on an 8-week semester online, but our undergraduates maintain the full 16 weeks, because otherwise it would be like taking a double load for 8 weeks, which would kill our students.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Thanks.
In case anybody's worried, the heavy workloads has not gone away.
Sam, what is the demographic of your online students in terms of either age or where they are in their career?
At the graduate level, they're tending to be early career to mid-ish. We're starting to see a shift towards later career folks coming in. We have students from around the world taking our classes. We had, with our space resources, we're working on one where we're anticipating a student who's either going to be on the space shuttle, space station, or on a moon base in a couple years. So we can now say on everywhere on Earth and beyond.
And beyond. I love that.
I have a question. I'm Lynn Clark. I work in marketing communications at the foundation. You mentioned that I know that there are a couple of mining related online courses. Are there any that are in development right now? I know that there's one for the Tailing Center and some other mining related ones.
Yeah, so there's the mining management master's degree that's available fully online, and it's only available online. Tailings, they keep going back and forth whether that'll be available fully online or not. They are working on, and Duogu, you know the list better. There are a number of mining short courses that are in development, some of which will be in person and then perhaps online. Others they're looking at online. Is there a specific area or need you were thinking of, Lynn?
I'm actually just writing I'm actually writing a story about industry and our department relations and what we've done. So I thought it would be a perfect way to ask you about this question that I had. So that's it.
Okay. Yeah, and I'd suggest if you reach out to Duogo, she can give you some of the details and nuances. We've been, of late, we're getting a lot of requests for mining, drilling, underground construction type courses. Now we're working on capacity because it's not like we have a lot of faculty sitting around looking for something to do. Anybody take a Minds Online class? Who's on the call?
Not.
I had
We
a,
have, oh, for those of you who are Minds employees, we have some self-study short courses you could do, like on plagiarism, intercultural communication, if you just want to see what they look like.
yeah. I had another question, Sam. From a strategic perspective, do you have any targets that you're looking to reach in the next 1, 2, 3 year period, like double enrollment, increase revenue by a certain percentage, increase the offering? Are there anything like that that you and your team are striving for?
Yes. So on the credit bearing side, our primary piece is now refining some of our programs, seeing which ones weren't getting traction and sunsetting those or adapting those. But our big targets on the credit side is increasing enrollment. So right now we're running about 250 to 300 students a semester. We'd like to, in the next couple of years, get that to 700 and then eventually get that to around 1,500, which 1,500 for Minds is big. 1,500 for a lot of other universities, they won't even consider it because it's not big enough. But we need to do it, and a lot of it's getting the word out. People don't know that we offer online. On the continuing ed side, our first step's building the library and getting it launched, and then we want to make sure it's a robust enough portfolio that our alumni and industry partners see it as something of big value. Kirsten has revenue numbers, but I don't.
Thank you.
Sam, do you have to spend much time with faculty members who may not be comfortable teaching in an online format? I mean, with COVID, I think everybody's had to dip their big toe in the water at some point to some degree to be able to do what they do. But are there some individuals that just say, you know, Minds Online is not my cup of tea. I'm better in person, live in a classroom. Do you struggle with that at all?
I wouldn't say we struggle. There are faculty who don't want to teach online, and there is no faculty member who's being forced to teach online. Just like there are no students who are being forced to take classes online. So if you're a residential student, all of your classes will be available residentially. You might choose to take some online, but it's a choice. For our faculty, if faculty are just not comfortable with teaching online, that's where we provide a lot of education and support to help those faculty. But and it's actually a relatively small number of faculty who are adamant they don't want to teach online. But for them, if they don't want to teach online, they don't teach online.
Yeah.
They have a number of colleagues on the call from my unit and other units who also know about online. Anybody want to add anything for the group that's hanging on?
No.
I won't call on names.
anything else for the good of the order? We might here start wrapping up in just a minute, but I don't want to cut short if somebody's got a last comment or question to share. Anybody?
I've got a one follow-up question that goes along with the numbers, Sam. You talked about a aspirational goal of roughly 20% of the Mind students participating online. Before I retired, my company was looking at some things because we're an international company. At that time, this was 2018, Minds did not have this. Missouri Science and Technology already had a program going that actually was quite developed even by 2018. So I'm just curious if you've talked to the people at Rolla as to how many people participate online now, because it's 6 years later.
I haven't talked to them in about a year and a half. But when we, as you noted, Minds was a little late to the game. So one of the first things we did was reach out to quite a number of universities. We also belong to a couple of professional organizations that create a network for us so we can bounce things off of other universities or colleagues at other places, as well as share data and research. The general comment you'll hear from large research and marketing firms is online is the biggest market that's coming down the pike. It's also going to be the most competitive and most challenging. So everybody sees there's an opportunity here, but we also need to make sure that we're paying attention to the competition and again, filling the needs we can. Minds is not going to offer a program in Shakespearean literature, even though that may be fascinating. It's just not our niche, But if there's things, anybody knows of that you say, hey, can we explore? Reach out. We're happy to explore. We have international conversations almost every other day now. Sometimes it's an international university, sometimes it's international companies or professional organizations.
Awesome. Okay, any last comments? Questions? Okay, well, with that, everybody clap. Jazz hands for Dr. Spiegel. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very eager to see how this program continues to roll and our increased numbers. And really, it is the future. I don't know that it would ever be able to replace in-person education, right? That's a whole different experience, but just being able to expand your horizon and engage people that otherwise wouldn't be able to come to campus. Or like you say, to offer a hybrid sort of alternative to make a degree happen for them. So very exciting. And thank you for all the updates. Maybe we'll have to have you come back next year, Sam, with another update. We'll just have a yearly update from Minds Online and see what's going on. Thank you. Thank you so much. Before we close out and say goodbye, I just want to make sure you all know about our program for next month. Unless you've been living under a rock, you all should know that this is Minds' 150th birthday this year, our sesquicentennial year. Say it with me. I know your mics aren't on, but sesquicentennial is like the word of the year. We're all getting good at saying it and spelling it. So next month's program, we're going to feature on Minds history. And I know there's a lot of history buffs on this call. February 9th is our Founders Day, our official founding of the school. And so appropriately then, the following week when we have Lunch Bunch on February 15th, We will focus on Mines history, and we're pleased to welcome Lisa Dunn to the program. And for those of you who don't know Lisa, she is our interim director of the library, but she's also our special collections director and archivist. There's not a question that she can't answer. So I hope you'll bring all of your questions next month to check in with Lisa. She's got a few interesting, quirky things to share about Mines, because we are a very special place. And yeah, we're excited for that. That'll kick off a lot of other celebrations happening that month and beyond to mark this special milestone. So again, join us on Thursday, February 15th, noon to 1. You can sign up at the same place that you signed up for today's program at weare.mines.edu. And if you hover your mouse over the word alumni, you'll see Lunch Bunch come up on that pull down menu, and you can click to RSVP. So thank you, as always, for spending your lunchtime with us. Hope to see you next month. And as always, go Ore Diggers.